Thank you, everybody, for coming to our Battleground School District Board meeting. I'd like to call it to order and ask Ms. Sandy Uren to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So part of the process when we do the flag salute is the person that we introduced as doing the flag salute, they stand up and tell us a little bit about themselves. I know you're brand new with the district and everything.
I'm Sandy Uren. I've been with the district since 1994. I was an instructional assistant up at Yakult Primary for 10 years. And then 2004, I came down to the district office, was a receptionist in HR. And I was there till about 2007 and then came on over towards the other side and worked for, in the business services and then as Mark Ross's assistant now. So it's been great. It's been fun. And this coming year, I'm going to be replacing Julie as she takes, starts her next adventure in her life. So that will be July 1st.
What about your family?
I have 3 grown children. My daughter just got engaged a couple weeks ago, and so I'm really excited about that. And so they're all grown, no grandbabies yet. So, and I have only one that lives in the same zip code. All 3 are different time zones. So, and I'm happily married. 40 years is going to be on Mother's Day for me. So yes, so that's pretty much it.
Welcome to the school district and I hope you see 41.
So, Ms. Backus, would you take roll call for us, please?
Yes, President and Director of District 1, Monty Anderson.
Here.
Vice President and Director of District 4, Mavis Nichols.
Present.
Director of District 2, Ken Root.
Present?
Director of District 3, Jim Pecoraro.
Present.
And Director of District 5, Stephanie McClintock.
Here.
And Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Backus. Now I'd look for agenda approval.
Mr. President, I'd like to pull one item from the consent agenda and move it to, just remove that. I'd like to move the personnel reports to follow the consent agenda to avoid a possible or perceived conflict of interest.
So item number E would move to its own item at the end of the consent agenda.
And with that, I will move to approve the agenda with that item moved.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve the agenda as item E under consent agenda as its own separate item.
Under new business?
No, at the end of the consent,
Oh.
as a standalone.
Thank you.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. So our next item is our ASB reports.
So a lot has been happening lately at Battleground High School. Last Thursday we had our Mr. Battleground pageant, so that went really well. We raised over $4,000 for United Cerebral Palsy. So that was really, really exciting. The whole show went really good. It seemed that everyone had a lot of fun, and we crowned our 2 winners. So I think that was a success overall. Now the juniors are working on prom. That is on May 5th. So we're trying to get that figured out before prom actually happens. It'd be nice, of course. It's always a big responsibility to take over because that's the junior and senior prom. So it's getting close. We're getting nervous, but I think it's going to turn out okay. I'm excited. It's going to be at the Abernethy Center this year. It's an outdoor venue, but there's a tent that everybody can go and dance under and everything. And we're getting a chocolate fountain. So everybody's excited. Yeah, I think it'll be fun. The other things that we're working on at ASB right now are our appreciation committee. Every year we like to give appreciation to one of the groups in our school, one of the staff. I think this year they've chosen the janitorial staff because you can never give enough appreciation to the janitors. So we have a committee working on that to just show them a little appreciation, help them out with their duties for a little while, just help with stuff like that. We are also working on a spring spruce up committee, which is to get the high school looking nice and pretty before graduation so that we can come off across as a nice and clean school. So we'll be working on that a little more and trying to get donations from the community. So usually we like to have new bark dust put in and we usually plant flowers as well. So all of ASB usually spends a Saturday just going through and cleaning up the whole school. It's always a lot of work and it was really, really hot last year, but it turns out really well. And I think that's about it for right now. We're starting to wrap the year up and we're gonna start elections pretty soon. So it's been a good year so far though. Happy. Any questions or anything?
Were there 2 people that won the Mr. Battleground?
Yeah, there's a People's Choice Award, which is just the money that the crowd puts in their boxes, and then there's also the one that the judges choose, and that's the official Mr. Battleground.
1,000.
Yeah.
Well attended.
It was very nice.
That's great.
We had an email today saying that the music department came in with some big winners this week.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty outstanding.
Yeah, music, our jazz groups are always amazing. The choir always wins a lot of awards. They're very, very good.
As I read through that and I responded to Darcy that I can't imagine that they left anything for anyone else to win along with the battleground. Pretty impressive.
They're setting the bar pretty high.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, last Monday, the Battleground High School did a tremendous job in hosting our Washington State School Directors Association regional meeting with the kids there singing. The ROTC did the presentation of colors, and then all the artwork beforehand. To welcome everybody, the State Superintendent of Public Instruction was there as well as the State Board of Education, and the Executive Director. So there was some high-level people with there, and it was pretty impressive what Battleground High School did for us.
Thank you.
And the freshman student who spoke for the UTC presentation was just outstanding. We see several compliments on how poised and how adept she was at expressing herself. So came across very well on the state level.
Doing good things, so I'm proud. All right, any other
And
questions?
you should be.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bailey Wicklin. I'm from Summit View ASB.
Oh, very nice. And what's going on at Summit now?
Summit View, we recently held our blood drive, and it was our second one of the year. Over the 2 blood drives that we held, we had over 50 participants.
So before you go on, I think that you need to let Mr. Root know, because he was gonna be there.
He was.
So now he needs.
I ran out of blood.
Twice the blood.
Was that, it was on Thursday? You were.
Yeah, it was on a
Yeah,
Thursday.
I last minute out of town, yeah.
So we
Sorry.
can let him know.
But yeah, we actually, at the meeting at our Wednesday before our blood drive, we spent extra time after our meeting and we made tissue paper flowers for all of the donors. And we gave them to them on their way out of the bus. And so it was our way of because we had a spring theme for it. And so that was our way of incorporating like the spring theme into it. And then we are also doing our t-shirt sale right now, which is very successful. I know that a lot of sizes are selling out very fast and I know we have to do a reorder on it soon. And so that's very successful. We're doing graduation announcements and we're anticipating prom with Prairie soon. Because obviously we don't have our own prom, so we're doing it with Prairie. And then I know something new at Summit View is we got a new monitor in the Homework Cafe to advertise upcoming events.
Any questions?
Great. I'm sorry I missed that.
No questions? Awesome. Thank you very much. Good job.
appreciate the enthusiasm, Monty. So a couple items I just want to communicate tonight are attached were the enrollment reports for March and April and the board docs. And we're still seeing, as expected, that basic ed enrollment is dropping. Mainly it's in the basic ed high schools, while the ALE enrollment is increasing. Overall, from March to April, our FTE increased by 11 net, so that's very good as a district. But overall, we are still below our budgeted enrollment for the year. Just keep that in mind. I also provided you an update to the fiscal budget planner. All of our, we have 4 funds: general fund, capital projects, debt service, and ASB. Every fund except for general fund has been completed, so we're just waiting on the legislatures to wrap up to finish the general fund, and that goes into the legislative session ending yesterday, and I think they were called into special session today for 30 days. We'll wait and see what happens, if anything comes out of that, but we're still continuing to budget our department budgets and building budgets and allocating that, so when the legislature does decide on what the revenues are going to be, we can go full force and get that wrapped up as soon as possible. Are there any questions on any of the timeline or any items noted?
I really like this format, Megan.
Oh,
It's a great format.
thank you. Again, the grade shaded columns are based on the legislature, but everything else we're working through as much as we can. And the dates of the, as the legislature moves out, those budget work session or the hearing dates and the completion of the budget moves later on into the summer.
So I have one question.
Sure.
The enrollment, you had mentioned how we're under budget from last year. So when we projected the enrollment for next year, did we just roll it up class for class, what's in their eyes? How was that?
That's a great question. We roll it up, not class, well, grade per grade. So we look at what's occurred there. We assume that every first grader is going to become a second grader. We assume every second grader is going to become a third grader. And for kindergarten, we basically benchmark at what we've done for kindergarten this year, but we'll wait to see how those numbers come in. You know, open enrollment just opened up for kindergarten last week, so those numbers are still coming in. We do put in a natural regression for the high schools, but we are looking at that a little bit closer and making sure, you know, Linda and Shelley and Linda and I have really worked a lot on the staffing this year to try to make sure that we're honing down and looking at and analyzing where the gaps were from last year, so we can make sure we're not, I mean, every intention, the numbers look like we did the roll up the same way last year, that they were going to happen, and they just didn't come. But there is a lot of housing developments going in, especially around Pleasant Valley. So I'm anticipating there's going to be growth there. And Pleasant Valley is another case where we budgeted for them, I want to say 550. I guess I could look really quick. And they're over 50 FTE from what we budgeted. So the South is growing. It's just some other schools seem to be declining. Yeah, Pleasant Valley was budgeted for 549, and as of April, they're at 605.
And the final, we have to have the budget done by August 31st, is that correct?
That's correct.
So if the legislature doesn't come through until July with the budget, regardless of what we want to do or can do, we're going to have to be pretty quick to look at how will you be able to handle that, you know? What do they provide you to make it easier on you to?
Well, they do, once the legislature does complete, they are providing a lot of templates and getting us information as fast as they can. But we've already made steps to kind of look, you know, we're working with the high schools this week, staff those according to our enrollment, and working with HR on the salary aspect as much as we can. There's a lot of factors out there that still need to be resolved, but that would be the only piece that would be remaining. We're hoping to have all of the department budgets and the material supplies and contracts budgets all completed by the time that happens. So it's just hopefully just.
Staffing is solved.
Perfect. Is there any further questions?
Thank you.
I wanted to point out, nice job, Mr. Waters.
You were supposed to take care of me there.
We talked about
You
this.
paused, I waited, and there was nothing, I just...
We talked about this. You were. Nice job. I just wanted to point out, you noticed the approval of the final district calendar for next year is on your consent agenda, and that includes the professional development days for next year. As you know, this year we canceled some of those professional development days because of snow makeup, and they were sorely missed. We had many teachers who really lamented the loss of that, but certainly understood that. So we are hoping to regain those days back next year. They're on the calendar as proposed, the same amount of early release days as we've done in the past 2 years. There'll be 11 early release days for professional development spread throughout the 9 months of the calendar. A couple things of note, we stayed away from January, so except for the end of the semester, there's no professional development in January. We didn't want to run into where we might have to have a late start and an early release on the same day, which would constitute probably having to cancel the whole day. So January seems to be a harsh month for us weather-wise here, so we stayed away from that for professional development. We also tried to make sure on the calendar that there were at least one entire week, if not more, between any early release days, so that there would be a week that would have an early release day for PD, and then the next week would be totally free of any releases of any late starts or any days off, so that there would be that sanctioned time for teachers to do what they need to do without interruption. So, like I said, nothing's really changed. It's the same amount of days, the same amount of hours of professional development. Teachers are really utilizing that for collaboration amongst themselves, and with our new iReady assessments, I think it's really critical for our teachers to be able to have the time to sit down and take a look at where their students are at, so that they can kind of change their instructional practices or make plans to help with interventions of students when they get that data in. And it's really consistent data for us that comes about every 3 weeks, so it's important for those teachers to have consistent professional development time throughout the year. So with that, if you have any questions about the new calendar, I'd be glad to answer. Okay. That's all I have.
Any questions on any other teaching and learning items?
Oh, I forgot to bring the books, those math books.
You don't want more session.
Okay,
First week.
okay. That displays.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. And our next item is our communications report. Ms. Sanders.
Hi.
I would like to highlight a few stories that we have had run in the local newspapers. There was a story about growth in the South. There has been an article about students join the coding craze, which has covered the new coding classes that schools in Clark County are offering, including Battleground Public Schools. We've had stories on our kindergarten sign-up in both the Reflector and the Columbian. And also in the Reflector, there was a story on the Prairie Equestrian team finishing their regular season. That was kind of a cool story. Then also, I want to highlight a few events we have coming up. So you all know that, or maybe you don't know that, Pleasant Valley Primary 4th grader Bo Singer was our district winner in the Sodexo's Future Chefs competition, and he was selected as one of 40 students from across the nation as a regional finalist. So we are going to have a tasting of his winning healthy comfort food in May, on May 5th at Pleasant Valley, and you're all invited to come and try his dish. And it's fitting that May 5th is Cinco de Mayo because the star ingredient of his dish is the avocado. We also have a fine dining event coming up at Yakult on May 2nd. And I wanted to also talk about two social emotional workshops for parents that we have coming up. One is coping with adolescent stress and depression. That's going to be on May 3rd in the evening at Prairie High School. And then we are also helping out with one called Building Resilience on May 24th in the evening at Washington State University, Vancouver. So those should be very interesting and helpful sessions for parents. And then also a calendar reminder that May 5th is an attendance day for our students. Because of all the weather we had, we have to use that snow day. And that's it.
Did you get pictures from Mississippi? Did you get those?
We may have, I will check. Yeah, I'm not sure that we did.
Okay. I talked to her and she was gonna send them, but.
Okay, I think we're
She's
still
still
waiting
waiting.
on them. Yes, I think it's understandable. So I think we're still waiting on those.
Okay.
Is there any other questions for Ms. Sanders? Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And our first committee is a little bit behind here.
Yeah.
Trying to catch up.
Why don't you just-
Ledge Committee.
I do not have an update. Except for singing the Jeopardy song. Davis.
It is time for boards to submit legislative proposals to WASDA for the Legislative Assembly. A fellow board member from Evergreen and I would like to have our boards join together to present a proposal that our out-of-district ALE students be counted as far as SCAP numbers are concerned. They have some at some of their facilities as well, and as of right now, those students are facility homeless. They don't count in either district. So to make that proposal, we would like to have the support of both boards. I put it out there to see if there's anyone who would object to us making that proposal. And if not, we will pursue it and I will bring it to you for your approval before submission to the WASDA Legislative Committee.
I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
The next committee is the audit committee. Mr. Figueroa.
We do not meet. Audit committee will be meeting
First Friday.
first Friday coming up.
May 5th.
So how about the FIC?
The FIT committee has not met and does not have anything on the calendar.
And nothing to report on the Human Resources Committee, and then we have the Battleground Education Foundation.
So BGEF, there was unfortunately I did not make a meeting, but I've been informed about what the meeting was approved. There's $13,000 that are going to be dispersed throughout our school districts. There are going to be some big checks that are going to be as a presentation, and there's going to be fruit and cheese platters presented to each school. So, and that's for teacher appreciation as well, or staff appreciation, I should say. And then the WASDA nominations, I know that's not on the list, but I want to thank you, Mavis, for passing out those things. And
They actually had them there. I didn't have to pass any of them.
Oh, really?
They had them on the table.
oh, nice. Yeah, good. Anybody take me?
Some did.
Was one from our area?
Yes, I know.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Duke. The next committee is our tour committees. Is there any reports on the tours?
Well, Jim and I toured CAM, and as usual, it's a very impressive school with very dedicated teachers. As usual, we commented on the fact they need a better facility than they have, but we saw some good things happening there also. Jim?
No, nothing other than that. I believe Ryan did mention about the honor that they're going to be receiving coming up, and I don't know when that's end of the month, is it?
I think so, the School of Distinction Award.
So that was, and I know there's other schools, I think, in our district that have received the same thing, but that's quite an honor for any of them to get that distinction of award. But no, he was very excited over there, and they have also had, I think there was 4 students that went down to Houston on the robotics. I haven't heard back how they done, how they finished down there, but yeah, they're pretty excited about what's going to happen there.
Is that the first time they've done that award?
No.
No. I was going to
They
say, that's
missed
like
it
the
last
4th year.
year. They missed it last year because the participation in the state testing
Okay.
wasn't high enough. But this past year, they got it up enough that they got the School of Distinction Award for it,
Yes.
which is a renewal of what they always did.
It's a big award.
Yes, it is.
So what were their needs, just out of curiosity, that we're not fulfilling over there? Other than a gym and, some football field?
The one report we did hear was that they're now serving lunches, and they're sack lunches pretty much, but I think he said there were 70 to 80 kids participating in that on a daily basis, which is more than they expected, and that's going well. A library.
Oh, library.
They don't really have a library. Julie started one, just books she had, and they're starting to put together some books, but they don't actually have a library for kids to use, so that's one need they have. Facility, and that's pretty much their biggest need.
So the next item on the agenda, that was it for committee reports.
Did someone else tour?
I didn't tour Toots, so I'm going to have, if you don't mind, Mark.
I was the lone ranger at Tubes. Enjoying a lonely experience over there. But
That was on purpose too, by the way.
I had a very nice visit with Jennifer Paulson and Anna Leeper. This is Anna's first administrative position, and she's doing a great job. I had a chance to talk with Jennifer while Anna was handling some issues, and she's really pleased with Anna's progress, and she's vibrant and energetic and very positive, I think, assistant principal and doing a great job. I asked what was going well, and one of the things that they consistently talked about was the culture in the building is really positive, and it's kind of a can-do culture where teachers and other staff who work with students believe that all kids can learn at high levels, and they really seem to galvanize around that concept of working together in any kind of adverse situation to make sure kids get what they need. So it seems like it's a good spirited primary school, and one we can be proud of.
Thank you. Don't want anybody else over there another tour? Artie's coming up.
Yeah, coming up.
Next week.
So the next item on the agenda then is our upcoming board events. The only one that I want to make note of is our next school board meeting, if I recall correctly, is at Captain's Throne.
Oh, yeah.
Which is May 8th. That should be that's the art show. So, if you show up here, it's just a short walk across the field. But that's where it should be at our next board meeting. And then now we're to citizens' comments. And as always, the board likes to hear from the citizens. There's a sign-up sheet over on the by the door. if you'd like to sign up, or when we get through the full list, if there's anybody wishing to address the board at that time, then you can stand up and ask to present to the board. And we've got 3 minutes time set aside. Our first one that is signed up is Mr. Dick Rylander.
Well, my joints are complaining, but other than that, I'm good, thank you. So for the record, my name is Richard Rylander, and I am a resident of the Battleground School District. 2 weeks ago, prior to the start of the board meeting that evening, he held a workshop in which Mr. Joma outlined maintenance plans for the coming years. I thought he did an excellent job. I was in attendance, listened in. And just a couple of comments. Mr. Anderson asked me after that last session whether I had some thoughts, and I do. I'd like to share those. Mr. Joma noted that the last 3 years were the first time in the 10 years that he actually got to use his maintenance budget. And I'm going to presume that that is because this board has made a specific effort to make sure that he got his maintenance funds. And on that basis, based on the fact that he said that when he started 13 years ago, his budget was $1.78 million per year, and it's now at 1.5, but usable, then I would like to commend this board on making sure that he got his $1.5 million. It sounds like he's done a terrific job with that amount of money. Now, in addition, if I understood correctly, he asked moving forward for the next 4 years that he receive an additional approximately $200,000 per year. And there was some discussion back and forth as to what items should stay in the maintenance budget versus be pushed towards a capital bond attempt again, et cetera. That obviously will be a judgment call at whatever point. But relative to the additional comments, I did some quick math at a 2% annual inflation rate. If you looked at his starting budget 13 years ago, that dollar in 2004 would be $1.32 today. And in order to keep things equal, his budget would actually have to be $2.35 million per year today to be equivalent with inflation to what it was 13 years ago. So while 1.5 is terrific, his additional request for $200,000 more per year seems more than reasonable to me as a citizen, especially given the fact that in this approved levy, you certainly do have the funds that you could allocate in there very reasonably. So I would propose or suggest that from a public standpoint that you find it in your budget and in your heart to be able to give Mr. Joma the additional $200,000 per year that he's requesting over the next 4 years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Rylander. Consent agenda. We have items P, C, D, F, G, H, and I, and they are the approval of the minutes from the April 10th special meeting, the approval of minutes from the April 10th regular meeting, the contract ratifications, the student travel, the approval to solicit for private trip to Washington, D.C., the approval of the final 2017-2018 district calendar, and the WIAA membership renewal for 2017-18, which is resolution D17. And with that, I would entertain a motion.
Did you take F off there? Did you talk about F?
E.
Oh,
E.
E is off of there. I have a question on F, on who will be attending Battleground High School basketball team in June for that camp.
It's listed as Wes Armstrong on there, and so we're not sure at this point.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
So there's a motion on the floor. Is there any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. The next item on the agenda is item number E from the consent agenda, which is our personnel reports.
and I am recusing myself from voting.
I'll make a motion to approve item E, personnel reports.
So there's a motion on the floor to approve item E, the personnel reports. Any questions or comments?
Why are you refusing?
Yeah, why are you recusing yourself?
Great
Because I
question.
have a relative on the higher end list, and I,
So Ms. Nichols is going to recuse herself for a possible conflict of interest, which could be a personal reasons. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes 4-0 with one. Mr. Ross or Ms. Allen, you want to take the next item?
I can take it. Thank you. It's always with a little bit of sadness that we say goodbye to some of our administrators as they move off to Hawaii or wherever they're retiring to. But then it comes with some excitement that we get to hire new administrators and bring some new blood into the ranks of our leadership team. And so in the past few weeks, we've hired some new building and district administrators. And so I'm going to bring up Angela Allen, and she's going to help us introduce some of the secondary administrators that have been newly hired.
Sit down.
Yes. Karaoke night.
All right, thank you for having us. It's been really fun getting to interview a lot of different applicants for the positions that we have, and we've been hiring at quite a few different secondary schools so far this spring. But I'd like to introduce our new principal, Andy Schoonover from Summit View. Andy's been a teacher here at Battleground High School. He's also been a basketball coach, an assistant ed chief, an AD at Prairie, and an assistant principal at Pleasant Valley Middle School, and now taking the reins as the head principal at Summit View.
So, Mr. Schoonover, you saw how well your students do as they presented to the board tonight.
Absolutely. Nice job.
Do we want them to shake hands with the board one at a time or after she's introduced?
When they're all done.
When they're all introduced, okay.
Okay, Mike Hamilton could not be here tonight. He's visiting his daughter in the Midwest. So he's got two new hires. Our first one is Eric Soupstor. Eric comes to us from Battleground High School. I got to be Eric's boss once before when we were at Evergreen High School together. So known him for quite a while. He's been a department head for special education as well as a football coach for us here in the district. Heather Ichimura is going to be the other assistant principal at Battleground High School. She's not here. She had a baby Friday morning. And so she wasn't going to get on the flight and make it out here this time. So she sends her best wishes, and she's very excited to join our team. She was a teacher at Prairie and at Battleground before their family moved over to the East Coast, and they want to come back to be closer to family. All right. Mr. Drake, would you like to introduce your candidate?
Not candidate anymore.
Candidate?
Not candidate.
So is it still up in the air? She said something.
So it is my pleasure to introduce Lindsay McQuiston. Lindsay's been a math teacher at Prairie for how many years?
5.
5 years, and is very well respected within the building. And there will be, well, there were a lot of excited people when they found out that Lindsay was the candidate that we went with. So, Lindsay McQuiston.
And our candidate from Pleasant Valley, going to be introduced by Mrs. Grigg.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to introduce Krishna Smith, who has been a teacher for about 11 years. She was at Daybreak, she was at Louisville, and is currently at Lauren Middle School, interning with Nick Krause. Welcome.
Alex can shake the board's hand.
Come on up.
No, I haven't forgotten.
Excited to have
Get your own spot.
Thank you.
Jack's gonna be
So we have one more. Those are all of our great building administrators, principals, and assistant principals. And last but not least, I'm going to bring up Ellen Wiesner, and she will introduce our newest candidate to the district office.
Yes, I'm waiting for the photo op.
Oh, okay. So I would like to introduce Cindy Christensen. Come on up here. It's a game show. You're the winner! Cindy is our new Director of Special Services. Cindy comes to us with over 20 years of experience in education. She's been a special education teacher, a behavior specialist, assistant principal, director of special education, and I've missed some things I know in there. So most recently been working over in Evergreen School District. So we are very pleased to have her join our team. She's going to fit in very nicely with us. So welcome. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I'm so glad you left everybody to get us. Thank you.
Thank you. We're very excited for all of our new administrators to be joining our team next year.
Big team photo.
Team hug.
Team hug.
Thank you.
So, next item on our agenda is the approval of modeling with mathematics. The course currently piloted at Powderville High School. Dr. Paul Lamar.
Should be excited.
He's very excited. I'm so stoked. Okay. First of all, by way of introduction, this is Mareka Haynes. She is a math teacher extraordinaire at Battleground High School. She is, yes, you are. She is also one of our district math fellows, which is quite an honor. So, I don't know if you want to talk about what fellow is.
Oh, sure. You look like one of the students. I thought you were in school.
Thank you. I'll be 32 soon, so I'm feeling old. The fellows are just, it's a group from all over the state. It's like a statewide thing, but we meet at the ESD with people from all over the area that the ESD covers, and we talk about implementing Common Core and Smarter Balance and strategies, and they kind of train us with leadership skills to go back to the building and help our teachers implement those things. So it's a cool program. It's been really fun. It's my second year.
I would also add that Colleen Homola, who is the department head at Prairie High School, is also one of our math fellows. So we are blessed to have two people with an extended skill set. As you've seen in your packet, we are presenting the Modeling with Mathematics course for approval tonight. I know that you've seen this, but by way of information for the audience, I'm just going to read a brief statement describing this. So, which was prepared in part, I will say, also by Mareka. The Modeling with Mathematics course covers the topics in Algebra 1 and Geometry that are required for students to be successful in Algebra 2. The course also introduces Algebra 2 comments as they are developmentally appropriate to give a basis for Algebra 2. The learning objectives work to address as much of the Common Core standards and skills on the SBAC that are appropriate for the developmental skills of the student's math. Our original purpose in offering this course was to help students be more successful in Algebra 2. We were hopeful that students would move from modeling with math to Algebra 2 and be successful. While this is still the original goal of Modeling with Mathematics, the staff has now shifted focus to include preparing and serving the students who may have otherwise taken personal finance or statistics as a third-year math course in order to prepare them for success on the SBAC. Modeling with Mathematics also provides a placement for students who are not currently being successful in Algebra 2. Transferring this course allows them to continue to work toward the breadth of Common Core preparation for the third year of math, better preparing them for success on the SBAC. And Marika's included some highlights, and I'm going to let her share some of this work as well, because she did a whole lot of work pulling together some statistical analysis for us, being the math girl that she is. She says, since adding modeling with mathematics as a third-year math option, they have decreased the percentage of Fs at the end of first semester at Battleground High School from approximately 15% to 8 or 9%. And they've also been able to retain more students in the third-year math class from first semester over the 3 years that we have offered this course. So, did you want to talk about the analysis that you've done and just to summarize that? You can if you want.
Well, in all fairness, our assistant principal, Carla Kalin, actually did all the data mining and kind of, we talked about it together, so I want to give her credit too.
What the statistics show is a continued increase in the number of C's and above for these students. And we actually have some testimonials from some Algebra 2 teachers. Remember that modeling with mathematics is aimed at preparing kids to be successful in Algebra 2, and most of those kids are already struggling. So these teachers said the following things. This particular student, they referenced specific students, this person is now at the top of the Algebra 2 block, confident in skills, willing to ask questions, is a leader in the classroom, and is able to help others. Another student this course provided opportunities for him to be successful and get the credits needed to be able to go to a four-year college on an athletic scholarship. The course provided opportunity for another student to transfer from CAM to Battleground to find success as a sophomore before taking Algebra 2 in his junior year. Provided another student with a class to continue working on skills since his sophomore year, and eventually found success as a senior in Algebra 2. Can you read some?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Take
some credit here. You're the one that did it.
Another student was provided an opportunity to continue working on skills in second semester after he failed first semester of Algebra 2, and then took Algebra 2 the next year with great success. And he actually went on to be an instructional assistant for Algebra 1 the following year. Another teacher reports that a student was the top student he had and ended up being the best TA he's ever had the following year. As a modeling student, she was very successful and built a lot of confidence before taking Algebra 2. We had another great modeling student who is finding success in a single period Algebra 2 class. A lot of times modeling kids go to the block Algebra 2, but she's actually doing really well in the Algebra 2 class. We had lots of teachers who reported that their modeling kids were getting B's and C's in Algebra 2, and our trend had shown that they would be kids that would be getting F's or D's if they'd not taken modeling and got straight to Algebra 2.
And then Marika has the voice of some student action.
Yeah, so I asked a couple students to just share like what their impressions of modeling were. Two of them are actually ones that the teacher wrote about as well, and then I asked them to write today. So one of them, I took modeling with math my junior year, and if I hadn't taken this class, Algebra 2 would have been 10 times harder for me. I liked the class because it was both review of Algebra 1 and introduced me to new math techniques. My teacher, Mr. Gamlin, was an amazing teacher and never became too annoyed helping me every 5 minutes, or at least I don't think he was. We also did multiple hands-on projects that better helped me understand what I was being taught. We have another student. Modeling with math really helped prepare me for Algebra 2. This class did a great job of refreshing my memory. Modeling made me master all of the little steps that will be needed later down the road in my math career. This class is meant to help kids that struggle with math. These kids will definitely appreciate this class. And then,
very tiny writing.
Yeah, and not copy well. All right, being in Miss Haynes' modeling with math helped my math and problem-solving skills tremendously. I switched my math class into modeling for second semester from Algebra 2. The material and concepts was able to help me study experience and definitely impacted my mathematical ability, and I was grateful for taking modeling with math.
So we've been piloting this for a couple of years now, and the great thing about doing it over the course of a couple of years is that you can actually begin to gathered that kind of data. You can actually track the success of kids as they move through the program and as the program evolves. So again, we're here tonight to present a proposal for the approval of modeling with mathematics.
Any questions?
How many students in each class? Are they kept small or just large numbers?
Oh, in the modeling with math classes, we like to keep them under 25 if we can. This year, we only have one section. The last 2 years, we've had two 25. The first one we tried, we had 32, and it did not go well for that type of student. But we had a bunch of kids move from Algebra 2, so we split it up into 2 for second semester, and that was a much better number. So we try to keep them 25 or lower if we can.
And you're the only school that's piloted, right?
Yeah. For
Will it be used at other schools as well?
Yeah, Prairie's interested in the course.
And how does it count as a credit? And is it an elective or?
No, it's a third year math, like how personal finance and stats are third year. Modeling with math is a third year. It doesn't apply towards like 4-year Division I schools that want Algebra 2. They still have to go take Algebra 2. But it does count as a third year math credit.
So they can end with that if they don't plan to go on college?
Yes, we've actually had several end with modeling, more than we were hoping. We were hoping it'd be more going to Algebra 2, but taking the modeling class, like I've been working really hard to make sure we cover as much of the Common Core standards as we can that's appropriate for them. So rather than taking them stats or personal finance, that's really just one cluster in the Common Core. We're kind of spreading out as much as we can to prepare them. And we've had quite a few kids go to Algebra 2 that I don't think would have otherwise. So it's good.
So you take that after Algebra 1 and before Algebra 2?
After geometry.
After geometry.
Yeah. So, and our focus is on the skills specifically needed in Algebra 1 and geometry that they'll use in Algebra 2, but we try to cover the other stuff too to prepare them for the SBAC. So we're still fine-tuning that part of it.
Did you design the course or is this a commercially?
It's actually from a textbook that I had taught out of in Everett High School before I came here. And so it's a book that's designed and then we kind of supplement as the kids. We do a lot of pre-assessments to see where the kids' holes are and then use the book as we can in their activities and then supplement the other stuff. So it's kind of a flexible, it's sort of whatever kids are brought to us kind of course. It is.
I'll make the motion that we approve the modeling with mathematics course. I'm reading it up to this, so I don't read the details, sorry.
So there's a currently a motion on the floor to approve the modeling with mathematics course, which is currently piloted at Battleground High School for the 2017-2018 school year and beyond.
Do I need to recuse myself? Okay.
It's just a course. Any further questions? Nope. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
And in order to make this all very clean, you're just fine, Stuart.
Okay.
Marika's brought treats for you tonight. You each get to go home with a Modeling with Mathematics textbook so that you can review it when we bring it before the board for approval next time. Is that true?
Treats.
Sorry, they don't taste good.
Math treats.
Don't eat them.
Math treats. Sure.
Just tell me what to do.
Thank you.
And while she's bringing them up, we also had some treats, I think, last week, which goes into the next item on our agenda,
Does indeed.
which is our first reading of the proposed adoption of materials and resources for algebra, geometry, and algebra 2.
Thank you, Monty. And again, for the benefit of the people in the audience, I'm just going to read a brief statement about our process and how we came to this conclusion. Our current materials and resources for teaching algebra, geometry, thank you, Marika, and Algebra 2 no longer match the content or rigor of the Washington State Learning Standards, which are the Common Core state standards for mathematics. In September, the Executive Director for Curriculum Instruction and Professional Development met with the department heads from both of our comprehensive high schools. Included in that meeting was also one of our district's math fellows, that was Marika. The size and composition of the math selection team was decided, as was a timeline for the adoption process. Selection of team members were made jointly by the department heads of each high school and the principals of those high schools. The team included a representative for algebra, geometry, and algebra 2 from each high school, our alternative high schools, and several of our middle school algebra teachers. In addition, administrators from each high school and central office were invited to serve in an advisory capacity during this process. In October, we convened the selection team. The team examined research and best practices in both mathematics instruction and effective materials. They reviewed documents published by the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, which examined various materials and their alignment with the Common Core. It was determined that the materials they would review would be neither those using an integrated approach which combines algebra and geometry together, or open educational resources, which are those that are housed online. They also gathered and reviewed information from neighboring school districts, life-size districts in Washington State, and information on adoption from other states. Using the book Principles to Action, a publication of the National Council of the Teachers of Mathematics as a guide, the team discussed the attributes of effective mathematics instruction and mathematics classrooms and agreed on guiding beliefs and criteria for effective practice in the teaching of math. Based on the research which they had conducted, they then selected 5 sets of materials to review and work for the next 3 meetings in cross-district teams to analyze them based on the Instructional Materials Evaluation Tool, referred to as IMET, which is founded on the research and measures alignment to the standards. Publisher materials which were reviewed were Agile Mind, College Preparatory Math, Glencoe Math, Envision, and Big Ideas. In March, the team's analysis revealed a clear favorite. It was determined that the publisher's representative would be invited to acquaint the team further to the attributes of the program, and if they felt it did not meet their needs, they would invite publisher representatives from their second and third choices to speak to the group. At that time, district representatives from special education, technology, and our English language learners program were also invited to hear the presentation and give input from their unique perspectives. Upon completion of this session, the team unanimously selected Envision Mathematics from Pearson Publishing for all 3 courses. Documentation of the meetings, minutes, artifacts, and the research and resources the team reviewed were kept in a Google file and shared with all math teachers to assure that everyone could see our work and be able to benefit from access to the research the team reviewed. I have to say that in all the time that I have done curriculum adoptions with teams, especially dealing with content about which people feel very passionate, mathematics absolutely being one of those. I have never worked with a team that was this cohesive. They were respectful to one another. They listened to each other's opinions. They did not necessarily always agree, and they evolved as a team into a tremendous group of people who really had at the heart of their work what was going to be best for the kids of Battleground. So I am so pleased that some of them were able to join us tonight. So this is the moment you've been waiting for, or not. As I read your names, if you're here, would you please stand up? Selection team members were Brad Scott, Marika Haynes, Colleen Homola, Chad Carlson, Tad Oman, Andrea Swan, Steve Burpee, Kathy McManamy, Larry Carlton, Kimberly Coatney, Audrey Donato, Stephanie Watts, and Mike Hamilton and Carla Kalin kind of tag teamed each other, and then we also asked Dave Cressup to come and serve as an advisory capacity with me. So would you just mind giving these people a tremendous thank you? And with that, I would ask for questions. Oh, now Mavis, I know you had a couple questions. Shall I just?
Me?
Yeah. Should I just jump on those right now? One of our board members asked why there were not answers at the back of the book, I believe was the question. And we talked to the publisher, and the publisher told us that the copies that the team had to work from were focused on getting the content of the book there, and that the section which will be included in the back with the even and odd answers would also be included. The other question I understand there was about a glossary of terms, and we asked them about that as well, and they said that would be sent to each of the teachers in a PDF format, so that they will have those as well, and those are also in English and Spanish.
There is a glossary in those, but I started the algebra book, and I tried to look at it as a parent might, as my neighbors. And my neighbor said, "How am I supposed to do this if I don't have this?" She asks me that quite often. I think the first chapter in the Algebra 1 book started with the number system. real numbers, natural numbers, etc. But there were no definitions there, and so I looked in the glossary, and there were no definitions there. And I wondered if they were online, or if it was expected the kids to know that when they get to Algebra 1, or just what a parent would do if they ran across that. I don't know whether anyone else had asked the question or not. If someone has an answer for me, I'll take it.
Email the teacher.
Yeah.
They might be online, I don't know.
Well, and it's possible that when the PDF is sent, that that's something we can post online for parents to access as well.
And another question I have, I saw the cost of purchasing these, which is pretty sizable. I'm hoping that eventually we go on with online publications and don't take up all the time and effort it takes to monitor these books, to do the inventory, the storage, and that. And I'm just curious what they saw as far as what's online and what isn't online, and where we are in getting to that position of having them on this kind of device instead of our heavy textbooks.
I will say, before I'll turn it over to them for comment, I will say that all three of these courses come with a I want to say it's a 6-year online agreement as well. So kids don't have to lug the books home. Those will be class sets. So students can access them at home online, and parents can do the same if need be. We'll also, of course, have books for students who don't have online access at home for checkout.
So is that via username and login?
Yes, and we are already working with the Pearson representative to make sure that now, as we enter the public review phase, now that you guys have heard a first reading, the parents and general members of our community are able to log on and take a look at the books and see what they look like. Does that answer your question, Ron?
Somewhat.
Okay.
So the recommendation is to approve the published by Pearson Publishing 2018. Is this like buying a car? I mean,
yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, it's the newest
That was a
and
typo,
newest and
yeah.
best.
Gotcha.
Same kind of thing. Yeah.
The content seemed very appropriate, and I was impressed with the books overall. I like them. I particularly liked some of the modeling that was going on in them, some of the practical application. I have to say, as far as geometry is concerned, they're back to T-proofs. They're back to formal logic, which I think is just absolutely wonderful. That's something I always enjoy teaching.
I'll take your word for that. No.
It's the language of coding, it's the language of law, it's the language of reasoning. Formal logic is just a very impressive thing to teach people to do. So overall, I'm curious about the inclusion of one or maybe 2 chapters on statistics and probability at the very end of the book. Do you think they'll get 2 of those?
At this point, I'm going to whip my head around and look at them. Yeah, the teachers are here to answer questions which you might have, which I may not be able to answer, and that's one of them.
We have to.
You have to?
Yeah, so the students will be tested on their Smarter Balance assessment on statistics and probability. So it's not optional whether we get to those or not.
It's going to be a very busy year then.
Well, if it's not covered in geometry, it will be covered in Algebra 2.
How did you feel about them not being some of those glossary terms right there at the beginning?
I feel like the students will come with a lot of the knowledge, and those students that do not have phones, and they will Google everything and anything.
If they have the access.
We also found a lot of resources online connected with the curriculum. And one of the things I do remember somebody talking about was you could click, if you're at home and you're struggling, you can click on an online tutorial. And within that tutorial are embedded terms or things where you click on that if you don't know what the tutorial is talking about. So they'll have it, maybe have to dig a little, but they'll have the resource they need.
That's kind of what I was thinking would happen, but I didn't have access to that and time to go through all of them and spend it. I've been very impressed with it. I think you made a good selection.
It's fantastic group.
Other questions or comments?
Have you heard from your son on it?
I have.
And he said,
Loves it.
I thank them for all of that. I know what it takes to do that kind of selection. It's not something you sit down and do over breakfast this morning and you're done. It takes a lot of hours.
No, and especially now with so much concern about alignment to the standards. The IMET tool is rigorous and arduous, and they persevere in an amazing way. They really got to the bottom of it.
Thank you.
Mavis, just to comment like on the definitions of the numbers you mentioned, all those are actually in the 7th and 8th grade standards and are defined accordingly in those grades. So students should really have already had, the definitions of all the numbers up to the real numbers.
I sure hope so. That was my assumption when I read it. Are they assuming they know it when they come in?
Yeah, so notice that it is prerequisite to Algebra 1 content in the Common Core standards.
Ways it never moved from when I was in high school. Thank you.
Any other questions?
You want a motion? Go ahead, Mavis. My mic is not good.
I approve the first reading of Envision Algebra, Envision Geometry, and Envision Algebra 2, published by Pearson Publishing, 2018.
So Ms. Nichols has made a motion. Is there any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for putting the time and effort to bring this to us.
It's exciting.
Very exciting.
Next item on our agenda is the approval of the contract for the Lawrence Middle School portable relocates.
I believe Mr. Waters is handling this one.
Hey, I handled the other one.
Little hesitation.
I'm very excited to be here today. It's my first public foray into the world of facilities. Thank you. We're presenting for the board today the contract to relocate the portables to Lauren Middle School. This contract is to move and set up the portables from Yacolt to Lauren. $133,100 and 4 portables, $33,275 each. I believe that Kevin had given the board an estimate of about $50,000 each, but we wanted to point out that this contract does not include the site work, which will raise the cost to that $50,000 plus or minus a few thousand. So we're right on in line with what our estimates were. And the site work will include the electrical, plumbing hookup, and some sidewalks that will end up. And don't ask me any other questions. I just about. Yeah, I'm tapped out.
So is there any further questions?
Please.
Now I would entertain to have a motion.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Directors approve to authorize Mark Ross, Assistant Superintendent, to approve the contract for the Lauren Middle School portable relocation, number 17-026, TIPS contract number 4042315.
So Mr. Figueroa has made a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
An application for a liquor license by the Visa Factory. Cerveza. Which, if you don't know where it is, it's in the old Huggies restaurant, which is on the corner of Main Street and Parkway.
Right across the street from Battleground High School.
It's right across the street from Battleground High School.
They moved? Uncle B's moved?
Yeah, they sold out. the Cerveza factory is hoping to open a restaurant facility. And they've applied for a liquor license. Because it's within inside the 500-foot area from the school properties, we are sent a letter. And so I've opened the floor for discussion.
So did we get a letter when the Quick Mart or whatever that was, place that opened up that sold alcohol and tobacco, kitty corner to Battleground? It's not called a Quick Mart, I don't know the name of it.
First Choice.
Is that what it is? Did we get a letter for that?
I believe that their liquor license was grandfathered in from the facility that they came from.
So even though they moved closer to the school?
Yeah, but still, they were still within inside of the limitations. So they had.
I had a letter from a patron about that and asked Kevin Jolm about it. He said technically that one is not within the 500 feet of the school property because that old library is not school property. And that one, because of the crossing the street, was outside that limit. That was the answer I got then. I don't know, I haven't measured it myself.
But we own the parking lot. So that's closer to that location than the library. And speaking of the library, what would prevent the library from opening up, being a restaurant, having a liquor license? I was confused on this because I thought the board had more authority on this, that we were dictating whether these businesses could move in or not, but the state actually controls that. So I was confused on that.
This is just notifying us.
That's correct. But if we had any doubt, this is the time to have action, whether we would allow that or not. I guess I'm a little confused. When these things are applied for, why is it getting to us so late? We only got the letter a couple of weeks ago, and that place is almost ready to open. Why are we notified so late on this?
A facility can turn in the application at any point in time.
Yeah.
So it may not be that they turn in the application until later.
Oh, so it's there.
So they could actually be open and ready for business before they turn in the application
for liquor.
Yeah. To serve alcohol.
Is this a full, sit-down restaurant?
I haven't been in here.
At first I thought a cerveza factory. I thought I was going to be selling specialty beers or something.
No, I believe it's a restaurant.
It's just, okay, so it's not takeout, it's sit down.
Full serve restaurant. That's the only comments that I want to make, really. I mean, it seems like I guess we could write a letter back if we disapproved of that and see where that went, but it seems like it's always, the wheels are already in progress.
Has anyone talked to the owners, or have they approached the district at all, knowing that we're going to be notified? No? And no one's here from the restaurant?
It's a pretty tough one. I have to put on two hats when I look at this. First one is when I look at it at my personal side, my faith in myself, that we don't believe in the consumption of alcohol. So I have to take that hat off and put my other hat on where I represent the rest of the community. So I get to thinking about this. We want to try and draw businesses into the community, and we don't want to try and restrict them so much. But on the other hand, how many of these facilities are we going to allow around our school property? Now, then it also brings up the other thing, is this right next to that, where they have some empty buildings, We could have a pot house, a cannabis facility selling. So if we allow one, what are we gonna do to allow the second?
We're not allowing. It's, if we do anything, it's just
Well,
saying we don't like it.
it's up to us to if we want this or not.
That's correct.
So, I don't know, we try and teach our kids to refrain from alcohol and drugs at a young age, but yet we're approving of these facilities around the school. To me, I think they should be further away from school property.
Where's the smoking area going to be for this place? Is it going to be on the sidewalk across the street from the high school?
Is there liquor served at the bowling alley?
There is. That was grandfathered in. That had been there for, and the Chinese place, the Dragon, whatever. I don't remember.
Silver Dragon. Silver Dragon.
Silver Dragon.
And then also the other, South Pacific, the other Mexican restaurant straight across the street from the greenhouses. Safeway.
Safeway, yeah.
And for myself, I would, like Jim, I gotta take one hat off and put the other one on. And I would rather see alcohol served in a restaurant than I would see it served in a store where the young children can go in and steal the alcohol that is for sale. We know that that's not away from any child from trying to steal. And we've had circumstances where our students have had to be taken to the hospital because of alcohol poisoning from that same thing. We do know that the restaurant is not going to serve alcohol to underage children. But the chances of them stealing from a restaurant are very minimal. So like Jim, it puts us in quite a quandary on how should we proceed.
Do we know the hours? Are they just open for dinner or open for lunch?
Once the application would be approved, it would be approved for any hours that they so choose to serve.
The word cerveza means beer, and if it's a beer factory, then are they going to be brewing their own, or is this, do we know anything about the
It
business?
doesn't sound like we know anything about the restaurant.
No, all we know
Except
is
for
the
to sit
letter.
down.
The letter that we received on the application.
Doesn't say much.
That's all the information that we were given.
I'm in a quandary over it too.
Me too.
I'm like you, Jim. How many more do you is allowed? To be within that circumference. We've been kind of developing as a town that sells. I don't know what you call that. It's the older kind of furniture and stuff like that. Maybe the idea from a business is get them drunk before they go buy stuff, so they buy more stuff like an auction. But I don't know, Jim. Where does it stop?
Well, I'm not inclined to write an objection letter at this point. I don't think it's going to help anything. It's not going to keep the business from.
I think it does.
You think that the state will say, oh, the school district doesn't want you to sell alcohol and that will impact their decision?
I guess I need to say, I don't know that you're totally correct.
I may
The
not be-
Liquor Control Board, now called Liquor Control Cannabis, they make the decision. And if we send in a letter of objection, they will take that into account. We do not control solely whether or not they get a license or not. They will simply take that into account, and they will go and look at the surrounding areas. They already know what establishments are selling alcohol and cannabis, and they'll take that all into account, but they will make the decision. You can have input, but you will not make the decision by yourself.
Well, Mr. President, I'm going to move that we approve the objection. I'm going to take option 1. The rest of the board doesn't want it, they will vote no on that and take us back. But I will move that the board of directors approve the objection to the liquor license relating to the Cerveza factory, and we direct the superintendent to send a letter of objection to the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board.
Thanks, Ken.
So we have a current motion on the floor made by Ms. Nichols. Do I need to restate it, or is there any further questions? So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
So motion passes 4-1. The next item on the agenda is our citizens' comments.
I want to thank, on behalf of BGEA, I'd like to thank Mark Ross for meeting and again, honoring teachers in our early release days. So it was a good meeting, and I like what we set up. The second thing, I'd really like to call Mr. Waters back up, because I'm sure somebody has a question for him. Thank you.
I will find you one day.
Before we call Mr. Waters back out, does everybody else hearing none, I'd like to thank you all for coming and adjourn this meeting.